this room that I've known for more than 40 years. And we've all loved politics. Loved being involved in it. Some of them have told me I ought to do certain things, and I've asked others what they thought about it. So it's been a kind of a combination of things. But I'm very humbled by the reaction that people have had to it, and I appreciate it very much, and I want to talk to some other folks too.
Yes, have you talked to Democratic leaders? Do you believe you're going to be the only serious Democrat in there, or you haven't got others?
Well, I'd never say anything like the only serious candidate, but I think that there is a feeling among Democrats that if we could unite behind a candidate, it would strengthen that candidacy and would increase the chances that a Democrat could win in November of 2010. So I think that there is some thought that getting out and talking to people and trying to have a big tent Democratic Party that attracts a large following is something that would be beneficial, and that's certainly something that I want to pursue.
You've been a close friend with President Bush, of course, served in his administration, worked with him as a Rangers. How do you balance that with running as a Democrat, especially knowing you've given contributions to the campaign over the years?
Well, the only Republican I've ever contributed to was George Bush, and as I've told Martin Frost in years past, I gave more money to Martin Frost than I gave to George Bush. But President Bush and I were friends before he was president. We'll be friends after he's been president. The president asked me to serve my country. I didn't ask to be the ambassador to Australia or Japan. And we're friends. We will continue to be friends. But he did not ask me to serve the Republican Party. And when I was, the first forms that I filled out as the ambassador to Australia to begin the process, there's something at the top of that form that talks about party affiliation. I didn't fill in a Republican. I didn't fill in independent. I filled in Democrat because I've been a Democrat all my life. I've never voted in a Republican primary. I told the president that I would be honored to serve the country, but I did not want to be a Republican. And the president never asked me to do anything for the Republican Party.
A lot of Democrats think that he was a terrible president. What's your view?
Well, I understand. I don't think you can have lived in this country. You can have lived abroad for a long period of time without realizing the president came under enormous criticism. He's my friend. I tried to serve his presidency as best I could because I thought it was in the interest of the country to do that, and I think I did a pretty good job. And I'm not going to get into characterizing him or his administration.
Aside from your voting history, what do voters need to know about your Democratic vote class?
Well, my mother was a ladies for Lyndon in 1960, and my first real interest in politics came from going around with her to get petitions to draft Lyndon Johnson to run for president in 1960. And I will always remember that. And I grew up in a household in which we were Democrats. And that, I think, is still the situation. So I'm not new to the Democratic Party. And I've had, I suppose, ample opportunities over the years to join the Republican Party. I never chose to do that because I appreciated the fact that the Democratic Party, I thought, spoke for the entire citizenry of the United States. The Democratic Party was always a place that anybody could go to and take their hopes and dreams. And I think that's when the Democratic Party is the best, is when it's that kind of broad-based party that appeals to what's right in America. And I think that here in Texas, if someone goes out and advocates those kind of ideas and values, I think that they will find a constituency. But we'll see. That's what elections are about.
You talk about starving education, college tuition. Anything specific you've already reached, say, you need to do X, Y, or Z?
Well, I think there's been a lot of talk in the last few years about you need to create a good business climate, and that will take care of everything. I believe in a good business climate. I've taken a risk in the marketplace. I've borrowed money, and I know what it is for me to payroll. I probably have more business experience than anybody that is in the governor's office or that's running for governor. But just having a good business climate is not the only thing you do. have to have a good educational system. And I'm convinced, after being abroad, that if we don't recognize that education is the foundation of a good business climate, then we're going to fall behind. And I think that it has to be a broad approach to what we're doing to educate children. Because if we don't prepare them for the future, we're going to be a developing country state, and that's in no one's interest.
But folks have been talking about education around here since at least the early 80s, and probably forever. What atheist specific do you come up with?
Well, I'm going to lay out, I hope in the course of the campaign, some specific proposals with regard to a lot of different issues. But conceptually, I think it is important to understand the relationship between creating a good educational system and the future. I remember that the foreign minister of Australia, who was a dear friend of mine, was interested in coming to Texas and asking about the biotech industry because he wanted to learn more about it. I arranged a meeting with him at Southwestern in Dallas. And his first question to the briefer was, how much money do you spend at Southwestern? And his reply was about $700 million a year. And he said, and the foreign minister was taken with, wow, that's so much money. And he said, well, I thought you said you wanted to create a biotech industry. Because something on the order of 95% of the biotech industry in America is located within a 10 or 12 mile radius of a major medical research facility. That's where the jobs of the future are. They're in the knowledge-based economy. And we have to have someone that understands that, and understands that that is the infrastructure that provides for a good business climate for the future. And that's what I want to talk about, and I'll have more specific things to say about it in the course of the campaign.
Who do you think will be your opponent in the general election?
I don't know. That's for the Republicans to decide.
Tom, who did you vote for in the last gubernatorial election?
Chris Benoit.
And what was your thinking there? Why did you support Chris?
Well, he was a Democratic nominee, but I thought it was time for change in Texas then, and I feel it even more.
How much money do you think you'll need to run for governor, and have you raised any yet?
I'll have to, I would guess it's going to be $1 more than I'm able to raise, would be the amount. I've been involved in a lot of campaigns over the years, and I've never gotten to one on election day in which somebody said, we just need a little bit more to do something. And I thought about that. I mean, I'm under no illusions. This is an expensive proposition. But I also thought that if someone had told Barack Obama at the beginning, you'll have to raise $757 million in order to be president, I don't think he would have done it, because I don't think anybody thought that was possible. So I don't know what it will take, but I will spend every minute of every day trying to figure out ways to get my message to people. That's what elections are all about.
Are you prepared to spend your own money, whatever it might take? Do you have?
You know, this is not an ego trip for me, and I think that you'd have to go to people and try to find support. And if you can't find that kind of support, that tells you something. So I'm going to try to raise the money. I also remember that John Conley didn't put any of his money into it, nor did Mark White, nor did Ann Richards. So I'm going to see if the support is out there. And I have not raised any money yet, but by filing today,